Good evening. I would like to hand my gavel over tonight to Councilman Vice President Jolly so that he can lead our study session tonight. I think it's important that other members have a chance to do that. And I'd like to offer that up to Councilman Meekin and Councilman Kritzman since they're going to be leaving us in our next couple meetings. So I'd like to chair the last one though, if I could. But other than that, I'd like to hand over the gavel tonight to Vice President.
Thank you, Madam President. You're making my mother quite happy at home as she's watching this. Okay, we're going to start the meeting tonight with a Pledge of Allegiance. It is Councilmember Kritzman's night tonight, but he's going to introduce some Boy Scouts, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I would like to call on the services of Nate and Lucas to stand up and join us up front. They are Troop 782 from Holy Trinity Lutheran Church on 5 Mile. Gentlemen, if you could come up right up front here, I'll ask that you lead the room.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, young men.
Thank you, gentlemen. These guys were here for our first meeting this evening, and they have a couple other tasks. They're looking for a map of the city. They are looking for an org chart for the city. They've got an entire, checklist of items to take care of this evening. So thanks for sticking around.
Well, and it's a good thing.
Go talk to her.
Clerk Nash is here.
Clerk Nash.
She'll solve all of your problems for you. Okay.
It's what I do.
So welcome to the November 18th, 2019 study session of the Livonia City Council. This meeting will set the agenda for the 1,886th regular meeting, which is a voting meeting that will take place on Monday, December 2nd, 2019. The entire council is present here today. We're also joined by some great department heads that make us look smart. I do not see any groups in the audience. I have no announcements. Are there any announcements from council? Councilwoman White.
Earlier this morning, a member of our city family was involved in a serious car accident on I-275. Police officer Greg Yon Jr. was seriously injured, so I think our prayers should go out to him, and I hope that he knows that he's in our thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or announcements from council?
Mr. Vice President,
President Toy.
I'd like to give good wishes to our mayor, Dennis Wright, who is recovering in this nursing center, and all good things for him, and hopefully he'll come back real soon.
Thank you. We send our best. This is a study meeting. There will be no votes taken this evening. The council members here will, however, offer either one resolution or a combination of resolutions for each item. The resolutions offered may include an approving, a denying, or a referring resolution to a committee or a city department for further report and recommendation. A resolution of no further action may also be offered. There are some items that will be simply received and filed for the information of the council. Please note that all of the items on tonight's agenda will be moved on to the regular meeting of Monday, December 2nd, 2019, where they will be officially voted on. If you would like to participate in any of the agenda items that we take up this evening, please approach the podiums on either side of the room when that item is called. You will be recognized at the appropriate time. Generally, that the petitioner, whether the city or a private entity, will make the initial presentation during a study meeting, followed by remarks from those in the audience wishing to speak, so please come to the podium when the item is called. When you reach the podium, please identify yourself with your name and your address so that the remarks may be properly attributed to you in the meeting minutes. This will also let the television audience and the council know who they are speaking to. Okay, with that being said, we will go to audience communication. Is there anybody here who would like to speak to an item that is not on the agenda tonight? It looks like there is no one approaching either podium, so we will move on to the study agenda and item number 1. That is a request to approve notice of intent, resolution to issue revenue bonds not to exceed $12,500,000 and declaring intent to reimburse. That's from the Department of Finance, to construct, furnish, and equip improvements to the water supply system of the city's existing water supply and sewage disposal system through the approved state drinking water revolving fund, DWRF. It's a loan to be closed on June 12, 2020. Mr. Slater, this comes from you, I believe.
Yes, good evening, council. As you know, the city's been approved for a drinking water revolving loan loan. Bond council is prepared for your consideration a notice of intent to be published in the newspaper, which is one of the steps that's required to issue the bonds. We request that city council adopt the resolution. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Comment or direction from,
I'll offer an approving resolution, and I would ask that this be placed on consent if there's no objection.
any other comment from council? Mr. Barr?
Yeah, just need a little education here, Mike. Is this a routine thing that we deal with, or is this something new? I don't recall that it is, but.
It's a requirement to issue bonds. So every bond issue that comes before council, the notice of intent is one of the requirements under state law.
Okay. So this is a new bond that we're taking part in now and then we're paying back within a year, or?
No, this is the Drinking Water Revolving Fund loan, which has come to council from engineering and DPW previously. In fact, I believe the engineering for this was just approved for OHM last meeting and the meeting before. This is low-interest financing that we apply for, hopefully get. It's 2% interest on these loans, and it's going to be used to replace water mains, but the engineering department can speak more as to the use of the bonds.
Okay, I sense that I need to sort of dot some i's and cross some t's in my mind is something that I should have a better grasp on than I do, so I'll maybe follow up with you outside of here to clarify my understanding. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Barr. We're going to go to Councilman Kritzman next, and then Councilman Meekin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a point of clarification for those watching in the audience and at home. The state program for the Drinking Water Revolving Fund is a program that was set up by the state of Michigan, I believe about 5 or 6 years ago now. And Livonia has been studying our system and seeing what improvements we can make. And if I recall correctly, Mr. Slater, I think we actually did a first round of this program already. And this is a second round, certainly much bigger than the first one. The first one maybe
We've had
was a
two
pilot.
previous dwarf loans.
Okay, that's why it was ringing in there. I know that this is something that we've been working on as a community for quite some time. The engineering department's been very involved, and certainly one of our local engineering firms, OHM, has been integrally involved in it from the start. I look forward to supporting this item.
Mr. Meekin?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Along Councilman Kritzman's comments, we've worked with the Dwarf Fund for at least the 5 years and this is helping fix our drain systems along the south side as well as the north so that we can maintain a proper pressure so that we can eliminate some of the, water main breaks and stuff like that. It's helps the community throughout Livonia to make sure that we have the best water system throughout Livonia. So it's been a good project. It sounds bigger than it is, but it's well worth every penny, and I look forward to supporting it.
Thank you, Mr. Meekin. Any other council comments? There appear to be none. Any audience communication? There appears to be none. We do have an approving resolution from Councilmember White, and that's for consent. We will move on to item number 2. This is an award of bid from the Division of Police for the purchase of police uniforms for a period of 2 years with 2 one-year extensions from budgeted funds. Sir?
Good evening, Mr. Vice President, Madam President, and council members. The Livonia Police Department requested sealed bids for the purchase of uniforms. Our contract is ending with Ollie Brothers. Those bids were put on Mitten, and they were open on October 22nd. We had one bidder, which was Ollie Brothers, so that's good for us. You may know that they've been our vendor since 1974, so for a very long time. They're an excellent vendor, and they're also a vendor for the fire department. So we ask for approval of that. If approved, these bid prices will be in effect for 2 years, with options for 2 one-year extensions beginning January 1st, 2020. And they are from budgeted funds.
Thank you. Direction from the council,
Mr. Vice President.
Mr. Meekin.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Alley Brothers is a long-standing Livonia business. I've known John for, a long time, because I knew him as a JC from even before my time. So, an outstanding community leader for Livonia, and I'm happy to offer an approving resolution on the consent agenda if there's no objection.
Thank you, Mr. Meekin. Any other council comments or direction? Seeing none, audience communication? There appears to be none. I'll comment that I myself had to get uniforms at Alley Brothers as a court officer. That's quite an experience, but a positive one. So, thank you, sir. We will move on to item number 3. That is, we do have an approving from Councilman Meekin for consent on item number 2. Item number 3 is a request to approve contract for caretaking services in the historical village at Greenmead from the Department of Community Resources with an independent contractor, Jeffrey Ronayne, for a period of February 1, 2020 through November 30th of 2022, with an option to renew for 2 additional year terms at the discretion of the mayor of the city.
Good evening. I'm here to ask you to approve the contract with Jeffrey Ronayne for the caretaker position out at Greenmead. He will live in the caretaker's house out there and check all the buildings, make sure there's no water in the buildings, the heaters are working, lights are off, doors are locked.
Sounds good. Direction from the council?
Mr. Vice President,
Madam President?
thank you. He's done this before, right?
He knows Greenmead really well. He's been out there a lot, yes.
Yeah, he does gardening and stuff, right? I'm teasing. Anyhow, we'll offer an approving, if I may, on consent.
Okay, any other? Councilmember White?
Through the chair to the city attorney, I have no objection to this, but wouldn't the renewal of the contract be at the discretion of the council as opposed to the mayor?
It's not a mayor appointee.
Well, no, it would be, if the council approves it, you're giving the mayor the authority to do it, so it would be at the mayoral discretion if the council approves this. Because you are in advance giving him or her the authority to pass that, to sign it.
Isn't that a little unusual, though?
It's not unusual in the circumstance on this Greenmead, it's what we've done in the past. It's pretty much the same contract we have done with the prior caretakers. But when we get one that actually is someone who you like out there and who's taking care of the Greenmead the way it should be, we like to keep them there, so.
Right, as I said, I have no objection. I've known Jeffrey Ronayne for quite some time. I think he's a perfect person to do this. It's just that it seems to me that contracts that are renewed should come to the council for that renewal, but, I'll defer to the rest of my colleagues.
President Toy?
Mr. Vice President, if I may address my colleague, would you like to eliminate the part about the mayor and put the council in? Is that what you're saying then?
I would prefer that.
I will accept her I will accept that if that be the case then.
Okay, do you have that noted, Mr. Bernier?
Yeah, I do, thank you.
Okay, any other council comment? I see none. Audience communication? Oh, excuse me?
So then,
Councilwoman McIntyre?
so then we would have, this would come back to us on the regular agenda, right, with new data? But if we're changing, we're not, are we changing the contract, or are we changing the,
The director.
oh, we're just changing, sorry, we're just changing the resolution.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, no audience communication.
thanks, sorry.
We do have an approving for consent from President Toy. And Mr. Ronayne, this is, you just keep wearing different hats for the city, I guess, huh?
Yes, sir. I think it's a perfect choice.
And now we know where to bother, now we know where to bother you. I'll make sure to send my kids out there with a bunch of noisemakers and stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 5 is a request to waive the formal bidding process.
What about number 4?
Oh, excuse me,
4,
item
yeah.
number 4. Request to waive the formal bidding process and approve a contract with Hard Rock Concrete from the Engineering Division for Fire Station Number 3 Parking Lot Improvement Project at unit pricing awarded in contract 19C CR 54-19 Mr. Zalinsik.
Good evening, Vice President Jolly and City Council members. Just want to let you know, obviously, next year, prices will go up, most likely on concrete and removals. I'm trying to take advantage of getting the prices locked in now. They've been familiar with doing the Fire Station 3 last year, when we did Bicentennial in front of there, along with just completing Fire Station 1. About 5 years ago, we did some repairs to the joints that are failing and deteriorating in the back. Looking to get that completed by September 12th, 2020, in preparation of the open house for the fire station they usually have there. Looking for City Council's approval, again, to waive the formal bidding process, to award a contract in the amount of $150,675 from budgeted funds from 2020, again, for them to complete that work next year, get in, get out, and get that area completed for the firemen and use it for the upcoming open house they have in October. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Council?
Mr. Chairman, I'll be happy to offer an approving resolution on consent if there's no objection.
Anyone else from council? Seeing none, audience communication? There appears to be none. We have an approving from Councilwoman White for consent. Item number 5 is a request to waive the formal bidding process and approve contract with Nagel Paving from the Engineering Division for the 2020 Jack E. Kirksey Recreation Center Parking Lot Improvement Project, Phase 2 at unit pricing awarded in contract 19A CR 119-19. Mr. Zalinsik.
Again, we had budgeted funds for 2020 to take care of Phase 2, which, if you look at your diagram, is south of the existing location that was done during the shutdown, which, helped improve that area for handicap parking and other patrons along the front entrance there. We're looking, again, to complete the area south of that location and further east in front of the maintenance facility to, again, make it safer for pedestrians and, again, do it during the shutdown of next year. Majority of the unit prices are from 19A, of which majority of it is from the asphalt price of $92.80 per ton and the coal milling. The rest is miscellaneous items. But again, taking advantage of their unit prices before they go up and getting it done during the shutdown of August 2020. And again, just getting things in order. Thank you.
Thank you. Direction from the council?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Meekin.
I'll offer the approving resolution for Nagel Paving, which is a outstanding Livonia-based business, and place it on the consent agenda if there's no objection.
Thank you. Any other council comment, direction? Seeing none. Audience communication? There appears to be none. We have an approving for consent from Mr. Meekin. Item number 6 is a request for additions to the local street system for Act 51 computations from the Engineering Division for streets or portions thereof newly opened during 2019. Mr. Zalinsik.
As you know, the city has approximately 370 miles of roadway that we maintain, 60 of major. Each year, we come to you before City Council to approve it. If there's any city streets that have been paved that can come back onto our system, again, it helps with our funding for Act 51 funds that we get from the state. Here we have three streets, one which is a Mystic Creek, which is Melania Drive, approximately just under 700 feet. The other two was paved last year, this time. Mallory and Aaliyah Street, that's over on Heritage Square condos, which approximately 7 people have moved in now. So we're taking advantage of getting these approved through City Council, getting to the state onto our Act 51 map that'll send to us next spring, and again, help us out in the future for collecting additional funds from the state. So we're looking for your approval for approximately just under a half mile of new streets that come onto our network.
Mr. Barr.
Just a question, Bolana Drive, I thought that was a private road. It apparently isn't, but
Yeah, it's off of Wayne Road, so it's
Yeah.
it'll be a dedicated city road, just like the
Okay.
other two. And it'll, once it takes approval, we'll end up being responsible to plow those streets for those residents that actually live there.
Thanks for clarifying, I didn't
You're
realize
welcome.
that. Thank you.
Any direction from council?
Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to offer the approving resolution. If there's anything that we should jump on as a chance for funding for road improvements, and so definitely, I would like this to be on consent if there's no objection.
Thank you. Any other direction from council? Seeing none, audience communication? There is none. We have an approving for consent from Councilwoman White. Item number 7, a proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinances as amended from the Department of Law to Section 020 and 070 of Title 8, Chapter 40, Noxious Weeds and Refuse of the Livonia Code of Ordinances to bring into alignment with the state of Michigan's list of noxious weeds. Mr. Bernier.
I know it's not the sexiest of subjects, the noxious weeds, But we were asked a question about our noxious weed ordinance, and we took a look at state law, and we found out that our noxious weed ordinance was not in compliance with state law. For instance, milkweeds, we had as a noxious weed. Well, the butterfly community would be very mad at us if we were cutting down milkweeds because that's what attracts monarch butterflies. So we wanted to bring our ordinance in compliance with state law, and that's what this is designed to do.
Mr.
Thank you.
Chair,
Mr. Barr,
I like monarch butterflies. I'll offer approving on this for consent if there's no objection.
thank you. Any other direction from council? There is none. Audience communication, there is none.
Mr. Chair, when will this be voted on?
I believe this will take, oh, excuse me. Oh. On December 2nd, 2019.
First reading.
First reading, correct. Okay, so we have an approving for consent from Mr. Barr, and,
I see why you asked the question.
yeah. Do we
He was being noxious.
have, well, that's the end of our agenda here tonight. Do we have any other council comments or announcements?
It's gotta be on the regular, because it's first
Oh, that will
reading.
be on the regular, yes, correct. It'll be on the regular agenda because it is a ordinance. No other announcements from council. I will thank President Toy for allowing me to be a big boy tonight.
Excellent,
And
excellent.
run the meeting. I'll also note that I very much I appreciate learning from President Toy over the last 2 years, and it's been an honor to serve as her vice president. I'll have an opportunity to say more about that later, but it really has been great, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. You too.
Do we have any audience communication to close out the evening? If you have not had a chance to speak, now is your last opportunity to do so tonight. There appears to be none. I think we can safely say that we are adjourned. Good night, Livonia.
Safely say that.
Excellent.